It's time for some more fantasy baseball videos. In this episode of my fantasy baseball rankings, I'm going to preview the third baseman. I'll have my tiers and ESPN projections to back up my picks. Remember, follow me on Twitter at FantasySports7. Tier number 1 of my third baseman is pretty obvious. He's one of the best fantasy players. It's either him or Mike Trout. I personally would rather have Cabrera, and that's why he's all alone. I mean, his projection, 44 home runs, 127 RBIs. You can't get any better than Miguel Cabrera. Tier number 2 of my third baseman. Number 2, Adrian Beltre. You know, he's an all-around fantastic hitter. He cranks him out of Texas's tiny ballpark. And you know what? He's projected 35 home runs. Draft him high. Number 3, Evan Longoria. Yes, he's injury prone, but if he's healthy, which I think he can stay healthy like he did last year, he can hit 36 home runs and 100 RBIs. Fantastic player. Number 4, David Wright. He's probably going to go 20 home runs, 20 steals. He's going to have a good amount of RBIs and runs. That's why he's number 4. Tier number 3 of my third baseman starts off with number 5, Josh Donaldson of Oakland. Now, he broke out last year. He had a fantastic year, and I think he'll have a very similar year this year. He's projected 27 home runs, 25 home runs, 94 RBIs, a good average. I like him a lot this year. Should be an all-around player. You could get him in like the 6th round. Number 6 is Ryan Zimmerman of Washington. He's a perennial all-star. Every single year, you know what you're going to get. 27 home runs, around 90 ribs. You know what you're going to get with Ryan Zimmerman. Tier number 4 of my third baseman starts off with number 7, Kyle Seager. He had a very good year last year. He hit over 20 home runs, and I think he's going to improve, and that's why his projection is so high. 25 home runs, 84 RBI. I like him a lot. Number 8, Pedro Alvarez. He led the National League in home runs last year, and I think he can do it again. I see his average coming up, and I see his RBIs coming up as well. That's why his projection is very good. 35 home runs, 100 RBIs. You know, you're going to get the power from him, and you can get him in like the 10th round. Number 9 is Aramis Ramirez. He's very old and injury prone, so he's the most risk in this tier 4, but if he's healthy, he should hit 23 runs, you know, driving a good amount of runs for the Brewers. Tier number 5 of the third baseman this is where I would probably get my third baseman. I need, all these guys are pretty good players, and you can get these guys in like the 7th or 8th round, maybe even later. But number 10 is Brett Lowry. Now he's young. He's only 24 years old, but he's been very injury prone in his early career. But if he's healthy, he could have an extremely good year. Projected 18 home runs and 16 steals. I like his production a lot. Number 11, Manny Machado. He led the league in doubles and hits last year, or the American League, and he has an amazing skill set. I like him a lot. Number 12 is Pablo Sandoval. You know, again, he's very injury prone, so if you get Pablo Sandoval, make sure you get a good backup. But, I mean, he is pretty good pop, and he's going to drive in a lot of runs out in San Francisco. Number 13 is Chase Headley. Now, 2 years ago, Chase Headley had 115 RBIs and 30-plus home runs. Last year, he had a bad year. He only had 13 home runs. So which Chase Headley are we going to get? This one or this one? I'm not sure. And that's why you should not draft him on 2 years ago. I expect him to be somewhere in the middle of last year and 2 years ago, and that will be around 18 home runs and 80 RBIs. But don't overdraft him because of something he did 2 years ago. Draft him for what he's worth, and these projections are right on with what he should be doing. To number 6 of the third baseman are a lot of guys with a lot of upside. Number 14 is Will Middlebrooks in Boston. Stephen Drew's gone. He's going to start at third base. Projected 26 home runs, 87 RBIs, and you can get him in like the 14th round. Great bargain. Number 15, Nolan Arenado, very young prospect out of Colorado. He came up last year. He had some decent numbers, but I think he's going to improve this year. 18 home runs projection. I like him a lot. Number 16 is a rookie, Xander Bogaerts. He came up in September, played pretty well. Started a few games in the World Series, even hit a home run in the ALCS. I like his power and speed combo. I like him a lot. You know, you can get him pretty late, and he can play shortstop as well. He's eligible at shortstop, and that's what you should draft him for. Even though he's eligible at third, you should get him at short. And number 17 is Todd Frazier. He had a bit of a down year last year, but he has pretty good power. Should hit around 20 to 25 home runs, and he should hit for a decent average, so I like him a lot. I would also try to get a guy in this tier. tier 7. You can get these guys at the very end of the draft, maybe the last 3 rounds, and they will produce. Number 18, Chris Johnson. Last year he hit 321. I don't expect that, but I expect a very good average and some pop. Number 19, Matt Dominguez. He broke out last year. He had like 20 home runs for Houston, and I like Dominguez a lot. He's the guy I most want on this list. Number 20, Trevor Plouffe. He hit 24 home runs 2 years ago. You know he has pop. Number 21, David Freese. He's gonna hit for high average, driving some runs. Number 22 is Mike Moustakas. Now, he's a lot of upside still, and he's still young, so don't give up on him yet. He's worth a late round pick, and if he produces, he could get out anywhere on 20 home runs and maybe 70 RBIs, but he might platoon, and in that case, you need a backup that's good, or maybe you just put him on your bench, but don't have too high hopes for Moustakas, but, you know, the upside is still there. Now, to number 8, are guys that you can fall back on if you missed out on all these guys you can get again in the last round. Juan Uribe last year had a very good season. You know, he hits for a good average and drives and runs. What else could you want? Number 24, Matt Dominguez. He's a big prospect. He hits a ton of home runs in the minors for Chicago White Sox. He should have around 20 home runs if he starts and plays a lot. Number 25 and 26, Mark Reynolds and Juan Francisco. They're eligible at third base for the Milwaukee Brewers, but they're going to platoon at first base. So one of them will play against lefties, one will play against righties, but they're going to platoon at first. And they have first and third base eligibility, and that's what makes them better. They're both going to hit 20 home runs, and they're both going to have around 60 RBIs, but neither of them was going to hit for an average. So if you want some late round pop, I would probably go with Reynolds or Francisco, and those guys can produce a lot of home runs late, but don't have too much expectations for them. Thanks for watching my third base rankings video, and follow me on Twitter at FantasySports7.